Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever the case may be, wherever you're watching this live stream from. You're all very welcome. Thank you very much for tuning in to another pre-match carnage. Uh, Looks like it's going to be one last pre-match carnage for 5, possibly 6 weeks. Wow, who would have thought that? That's pretty mad. It's pretty mad. I just thought about that. Could be a sad occasion here, man. People, that's my bubble burst. I'm all sad now. This could be a last time, but still, you're all very welcome. Thank you very much for tuning in. Pre-match carnage, Liverpool, Southampton. We have a game of football to play. All the takeover talk, all the mad penalty shouts, all of this and all of that. Put it to the back burner. Football is Football is at the forefront of our thoughts right now. Mine, Jurgen Klopp's, Tom Little's. Tom, how are we?
I'm all good, mate. I'm all good.
Good man, good man. It's about time we stop talking about. Well, we've got plenty of time to talk about potential takeovers, new owners, money to spend, transfers, January. Right now, tomorrow is so important for me anyway.
100%. You got to get off. You got to finish this season. Get off before the break on the right foot. Keep this little spell of form that we've got going.
Yeah, exactly. We've got a very could potentially awkward game to play against Southampton, and I'm very honoured to be joined by Dan. Dan's a Southampton fan. His Twitter handle is right there. Make sure you go give him a follow. Thank you very much for coming on, my friend.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me.
Not a problem at all. Not a problem at all. I guess we start with you. Just like us, you've got loads of talking points, loads of controversy. I don't know. Well, like I'll ask you. Ralph, how do you say his name? Hasenhüttl.
Hasenhüttl.
Yeah, nearly. If you gave me one more attempt, I would have got it. Right, you know what I mean? I had 2 goes at it. Right, the third one would have been spot on. People, as you're coming in, I forgot to tell you the formalities because automatically I think you guys should be used to it. Exactly. Smash that like, subscribe if you haven't. All of the stuff that everyone tells you to do, but the reason why they tell you to do it is because it's so important. Do you know what I mean? It makes our small channels grow, helps the community grow, algorithms and all that. Don't ask me to spell that, but big up yourselves, everyone in the chat. Talk to us. The best memory we've got of this fella, or the worst memory, I should say, right, Tom, is him doing a job on us at your ground a couple of seasons ago, and he was on his knees crying, tears. That's the image we've got of him. But overall, looking from the outside, I would have thought he'd done a decent job. Where did it go wrong for him, Dan?
I think it stretches into last season as well. It was a terrible end to the season. I think it was one win in 12 games to end last season. So there was already kind of talk about how much longer he was going to be at the football club. But instead of sacking him, the board went with a different approach and sacked his backroom staff, brought in new coaches, and also because it was in the first summer window under our new ownership. You know, they said they would back him financially, and in fairness, they did to some extent, bringing in 10 new players. But ultimately, he hasn't been able to find that winning formula. He was already starting the season under pressure. We're in the relegation zone. Performances don't look like they're going to get any better, and it just felt like change was needed. You know, he's been at the football club almost 4 years. That's unheard of.
4 years. Wait, I didn't even realize that. Did you talk? 4 years.
I knew he'd been there a while, but 4 years is long.
So that's a long time in modern football, you know.
Absolutely.
So it just felt like everything was going a bit stale, a bit stagnant, and now we've got a fresh change, I guess.
Yeah, no, you have, and I know it's short notice and sort of. Well, I know he hasn't even taken. Has he taken over? He wasn't involved for the League Cup tie, was he? Your new manager. No. So basically, you've hired Nathan Jones, Luton Town manager, who's doing very well for Luton. Luton's my hometown, so big up Luton every time. You've managed to nick my hometown manager. So go on. What do we know about Nathan Jones? Because it's something completely different from the Hasenhüttl recruitment because he was like sort of fairly known in European circles, successful. You've gone down a route of picking a coach from the lower leagues or a lower league, but one that's got quite a bit of a reputation, a good reputation, I may add as well.
Yeah, it is completely different in terms of the figure and the profile. I mean, Ralph Hasenhüttl had been at Leipzig for 2 years before he joined us, managing in the Champions League, and obviously the German top flight. And Nathan Jones has never managed a single top flight game at all. He's very well respected. It's a British coach as well, which I think a lot of supporters like. You know, promoting British coaches in the Premier League, but yeah, don't get me wrong, it's a massive risk. I think any appointment was going to be a massive risk.
Yeah.
In the sense of, you know, no Premier League experience as a player or as a coach, and he'll have to make adjustments quickly. But he is quite lucky at the same time that he has now got this 5-6 week break with the World Cup to really work with his squad, implement, you know, his ideas, his philosophy, his tactics, whilst also not having the stress and the pressure of having matches alongside that.
It makes sense, doesn't it, Tom? When you make an appointment like this, when you get a new coach in, you know they've been thinking ahead, aren't they? They're thinking ahead. Yeah. They're thinking he's got 6 weeks to settle in, and then straight after that 6 weeks, he's got so basically he has 6 weeks to assess his squad, and you'd like to think they're probably going to play a few friendlies in there. I don't know, Dan. Have you got plans? Do you know?
Nothing confirmed, but you'd imagine so, and you'd imagine some sort of training camp.
Absolutely. And so therefore it'll give him a chance. And then what happens straight after 6 weeks? January transfer window as well. So it Southampton always, to me, come across as a very smartly run football club, aren't they?
Yeah, no, for sure.
Tom, Southampton memories? They've given
us
about
half their squad in the past. So yeah,
they've given us so many gems. I mean, let's try and can we have a little competition between us, like to see how many we can effing name, right? So I can remember Klein from back in the day.
Yeah.
Is there anyone before Klein, like recent era?
Ricky Lambert was bought.
Was the first one?
Lallana,
Lovren.
Yep.
Mane, Van Dijk.
Yep.
I swear we even took one of your youth players in the last season, or the Doozy or something.
Potentially.
And he's now in the under-23s.
People in the chat, let us help. So it helps. I think we've named 6. So Mane, Lallana, Lovren, Lambert, Van Dijk.
Even Stephen Corker, you could say. You could say Stephen Corker back in the day.
Was he directly from you guys?
No, he wasn't directly from us, but he was on loan at us and then got recalled and then went to Liverpool.
We even done that to you guys. Did we even do that? Did we even recall Corker, who was loaned at you guys, and then he got recalled to his club to come to Liverpool?
Yeah, pretty much.
Just to play up front. God. He didn't even play centre-back for us. He was an auxiliary striker for the 5 games he played.
Yeah, we used to just throw him on in the last couple of minutes to be like an auxiliary striker. But, Tom, it suggests to me that we've got quite a good relationship with these guys behind the scenes. Yeah. Of course, it got a little bit soured with the Van Dijk stuff, but overall, we've done some decent business with them. Of course, Van Dijk and Mane aside, we've bought some. Would you say there's been an outright failure from them? Okay, Lambert, I guess.
I wouldn't even say Lambert was just almost like a little bit of a.
How much was Lambert?
He was like 4 million or something.
And how much did you guys get him for, Dan? I can't remember now. Lambert,
like 1 million back in League One.
Yeah. Well, there we go.
I think it was, so it was low risk. Well,
Lambert
in League
was a
One,
bit like a charity one, weren't he?
In League One, 1 million is a lot of money, but he
for us. So for us, it was low risk. We bought him in, but the only problem was we bought him and Balotelli to replace Suarez. So that's where the complication and the issues arose, right? It's fair enough buying Lambert as a spare kind of 4th, 5th choice forward. But then when you're replacing Luis Suarez, Balotelli and Lambert, that's where it was a bit off key. But your opinions on Southampton as a club, very well run, Tom, isn't it? As I said, looks to be organised, looks to get their recruitment right. We'll get into sort of some of the transfers they made last season, but overall, the amount of gems that have come out from there suggests that they know what they're doing.
Oh yeah, Southampton are very, very well run, and I like a lot of the players that they've got at the minute. I think they've got a very solid centre back pair in Bella Kotchap and Salisu. Obviously, got James Ward-Prowse. He's been there for years. They're just almost becoming a staple Premier League club, which is what you would do. I don't think they could have thought that when they first came up, but they've been here for years now. Got a very solid squad. And they're always a tough game. They're always a tough game because they try and play football their way, and they don't bend or change from that.
It's true, because Hasenhüttl used to kind of just enjoy playing us, didn't he, Dan? He used to talk about how he's almost is it fair to say, disciple of the Klopp's gegenpressing? I think he referred to it in terms of he enjoys it, or he likes it, or because they always I
think they did their coaching badges together.
That's what it is. That's what it is, yeah. So, but he's always looked up to him, and that reaction that I'm referring to, he was like, "This is a monumental game for my career, for my overall career. I love being here. I love doing this. Klopp, I look up to Klopp." But when he first came, sort of the style he implemented, was it different from the previous regime? And did Southampton fans sort of appreciate it? Did they enjoy it?
Yeah. It was very different. I mean, the problem, which is kind of why this week's been so strange, because obviously we've had the same manager for 4 years. Ralph Hasenhüttl was the 5th permanent manager in a 2-year spell. Obviously they couldn't get it right with a couple previous managers, and then his predecessor Mark Hughes. Everything just went wrong there. It was just boring football. Not scoring enough goals, not getting points on the board.
So he took over from Mark Hughes, didn't he?
He took over from Mark Hughes in December.
It had gone stale, right?
Yeah, and this is what I'm saying. He was the 5th permanent manager within a 2-year time frame. It wasn't a club in a good position, but he came in, brought high pressing football. I mean, in fairness, it took a while for him to kind of adjust his side to the Premier League, and there were moments where it did look like it was going to be too much for him to keep the team in the Premier League. But obviously he kept us up that first season. He had a summer to instill his ideas. The whole 4 years were rocky. There have been some extreme highs and some real extreme lows, as we all know. But it was definitely different to any other manager that we'd had before.
The extreme highs and extreme lows. We've had a few extreme highs and a few extreme lows as well with them, haven't we, Tom? Obviously, I referred to that one in that crazy season where we had. That was probably our lowest of lows. But as you said, always tight games against these guys, and it's always kind of we have to really match their intensity and the way they play. But this time is a bit of an unknown, isn't it? Like Jurgen Klopp talked about in his press conference, he said, we don't really know what we're going off here. Sort of the analysis team didn't know what to look at because, he's not taken a game, has he? The league game was just...
No, this is his first game.
So, Tom, how do we approach it? Do we just make sure we have our A game on, which is our problem right now, our inconsistency? We just got to focus on ourselves, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's all we can do. You can have a basic idea of what he's going to do, and he's played a variation of a back 3, back 5 all season with Luton. Whether he tries to carry that into the Premier League is a different kettle of fish. So I think we've just got to do what we do. And with us being at home, we should be able to get the job done, regardless of how they set up, regardless of how he goes into this game. We should be good enough to just get this 2-0 job done out the way, focus on the 6-week break we've got coming up.
It's so crucial that we do go into this break with possibly 3 wins in a row for the first time this season. I remember me and you speaking about a few weeks ago that we haven't managed to put 3 wins together, and we still haven't. But this could be just the kind of boost we needed. I don't know about you lads. It almost feels like a season. Like we're coming to the end of the season. It's been that hectic and that wild and that mad that it looks like it's a season of 2 seasons almost. and it's like we're gonna get this season over and done with, and then it's like a 6-week pre-season. Like Klopp called it a pre-season today in his press conference, and then we get to go again. And even for you, Dan, for your point of view, it's mad. It's like you've had a new your old manager, the season complete, and it's almost like a fresh season start after this one, isn't it? Are you excited by it, or how would you feel going into this last game before the break? Are you ready to call it what it is, and then just start again like a new season come January or Boxing Day, as the case may be?
Yeah, I think we're all a little bit tired, to be honest. I think we're all exhausted, as the players are. I think this is, like I said, this is the perfect time for a new manager to come in, especially with the fact that his first game, we probably will treat it like a free hit. I don't see why we wouldn't. It's Liverpool away. It's not a ground we traditionally do very well at anyway. And we're all fighting for different things. So there's not much pressure in that first game. I would say if it was kind of a team near us in the table, then yeah, there's probably a bit more pressure to get off to a winning start. But
it's literally a free hit. It's literally a free hit, isn't it? Yeah.
No, it is a free hit, but I think everyone's ready for this break. Like I said, I think it can only be a positive that Nathan Jones now has 5-6 weeks without a game to really instill his philosophy into the squad. I mean, currently I think we've only got one player going to the World Cup, so he'll have the vast majority of his players to work with. So yeah, there's only positives there. And but personally, for me, I think we need a little bit of a break. We're in poor form. Our performances haven't been great, so it'd be nice to have kind of a bit of a refresh.
You've mentioned the World Cup and you've mentioned one player. Let's see how clued on Tom is. Can you name the one player going to the World Cup from the Southampton squad?
Is it Duje Kalatakar for Croatia?
No, he's not in the squad.
No.
I tell you, this is where the real football man takes over, Tom. This is where the real football man takes over. It's Bella Kocha for...
Oh, yeah, Bella Kocha. I was so sure it would be in Kalatakar.
You're good, son. You're good, but you're not that good. Bella Kocha.
That's poor from me. I should have known that.
But we're going to get onto that. But Dan, I'm going to ask you about... Well, I'll ask your opinion first, Tom. We mentioned it, I think, just before. Or I think you mentioned it. I can't remember where we mentioned it. James Ward-Prowse. Should he be on that plane for that England team? Considering Gallagher's in there, I don't know. What do you think? We'll ask Dan, because Dan may have a biased opinion. I want an unbiased opinion first.
I think he should be. I think when you look at that England midfield, Gallagher, I don't think he's earned a spot, and I really don't think Calvin Phillips should be in there, considering he's yet to play 90 minutes since last season. So you're gambling on fitness there with Calvin Phillips, and you put massive inexperience in with Conor Gallagher. James Ward-Prowse, he's not the most pretty on the eye, but he gets the job done. He gives us something in this England squad that not many others offer.
For me, and again, this is unbiased. We'll get Dan's definitive opinion because his one's the one that counts because he watches him week in, week out. For me, I'm not joking. In big tournaments, there's going to be games where it's going to be decided by a set piece or a free kick, or set piece is a free kick, but or even penalty shootouts. For me, there's no better set piece taker than James Ward-Prowse. Is there anyone that you can think of that's better than him? Especially from an English point of view, as we welcome Mons to the stream. Mons is dressed up like he's about to bid for Liverpool, but we'll discuss that in a bit. He's just come fresh from a meeting in London with the prospective buyers of Liverpool. But fill us in a second, Mons. Fill us in a second. But James Ward-Prowse, I think he should be in that plane. Dan, talk to us about James Ward-Prowse. Is your club captain, right?
Mm-hmm.
What a fantastic servant, and does he deserve to be on that plane, in your opinion?
Yeah, I do think he deserves to be on that plane. Listen, he'll be the first one to admit that this season he's been pretty below par from his usual standards. He's not been great this season, I can't lie. But yeah, I think he did more than enough. I think it's more a case of the whole Phillips argument and Conor Gallagher argument. Conor Gallagher, is he in there because it's the Chelsea tax, the big six tax, playing for a big
Would
club?
okay? I'm just going to ask you. I'm going to ask you guys. Would Gallagher be in the England squad if he was still at Palace?
No.
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 Do you reckon?
No, he wouldn't.
If Eze couldn't make it and he's in the Palace squad, how's
Actually,
Gallagher making it?
His form for Palace, he was spoken about heavily at Palace.
But that was last season. This season, he's been atrocious at Chelsea.
Yeah,
I
he's
think
been
Dan's
horrific.
right. Like, what's he done at Chelsea? In fact, Chelsea fans have been on his back in his case.
I think
Whereas,
he's got as many red cards,
He
goals.
scored the one goal against Palace. That was it.
But Dan's filled us in and said Ward-Prowse has been a bit inconsistent. So is Ward-Prowse one of those guys that? Who's that free kick? How do you say his name, guys? The one at Inter. Shanahologlu.
I'm not even going to try.
Basically, that guy, when you see him striking the ball, you think to yourself, this guy is an elite, but actually watch him play. The game passes him by. Are you suggesting, Dan, that Ward-Prowse has been that kind of player this season? Because all we see is free kick after free kick after free kick that he just tends to just put in the top corner, which is a skill and an art in itself. But his overall game, are you suggesting that it's not been quite the levels that he has reached? But again, he hasn't had a regular partner in midfield, which we're going to come to sort of very soon. But
no, he's not had a regular partner in midfield. I think losing Ori Romeo's kind of proven to be a bit of a predicament, really. We've got a new midfielder in Romeo Lavia who's going to, by the way, he's going to go to the top, but he's been injured most of the season, so they haven't really been able to develop that partnership yet. So yeah, I think there's definitely an argument for the case of he hasn't really been able to have that regular partner in midfield and kind of become comfortable with that. But the thing is, James, let's not beat around the bush. James Ward-Prowse, even at the end of last season when he'd been magnificent, if the World Cup had been in the summer, he's still not a regular for England. He's not one of the first names on that team sheet. He'd be going as a squad player, and that's fine. Southampton fans can accept that, and I think he'd accept that. But for me, you look at the players that have gone. Calvin Phillips is only in there because he had such a good Euros, and he was England's Player of the Year. The fact that the fitness argument comes into it is kind of irrelevant, I think, at this point in Gareth Southgate's kind of tenure. We know what he does. We know how he picks his teams. The Conor Gallagher one is just the one I can't get my head around.
I don't think anyone can. I'm not sure if Mons or Tom can. Like, I'm not saying he's a bad player. I'm just saying
he's not a bad player.
Yeah, how do you justify him ahead of the likes of James Ward-Prowse?
The only thing I can argue is that they've got James Maddison for the free kicks, but still, again, I don't see James Maddison starting regularly.
I don't think James Maddison comes on.
Gallagher
I don't think James.
I don't see what Gallagher gives this England squad that is so much different than what James Ward-Prowse could do. And at least James Ward-Prowse gives you the added bonus of such a dangerous free kick threat, such a dangerous corner threat. I know we've got other options there. You've got Trippier, you've got Maddison, like you said, you've got Trent as well. If he's allowed to touch the pitch, yeah.
It's the exact same argument everyone made before the Euros when James Ward-Prowse got snubbed for the Euros. Now, and that was all. I feel like that was more ridiculous in the sense of we didn't know how good Calvin Phillips was going to be, but also, Ward-Prowse had come off the back of a really, really good season. Obviously, start of the season this year, he's not been great. But we're talking about an England side who literally lost the Euros on penalties, and we're not taking a set piece taker. That is what I can't really wrap my head around. Gareth Southgate as well talks all a bit about, how he was under 21s manager beforehand. James Ward-Prowse was Gareth Southgate's England under 21 captain before Gareth Southgate took the first team job, and he still hasn't been able to get that look in. So, yeah, I'm stumped. Would Ward-Prowse be there? If Ward-Prowse had gone to a top six side, would he be in this squad now?
Get into a top six side though.
But that's the thing. Does he get into a top six side as well? So, it's all if buts and maybes. But at the end of the day, he's not in the squads. He'll have a time to reset. He'll have time to kind of reflect on his start to the season because he's a top professional. He'll admit that his season hasn't been up to his personal standards that he'd like to reach, and now he has to obviously be the leader for this new manager. He's the captain. He's got to be the man to kind of lead us forward.
I was just going to say, before we go to Mons with some of his opinions on some of the things I want to ask him about, very quickly, Dan, I know you've just said leader and new captain and new manager, but I'm just putting it out there because I'm here to ask the tough, hard questions, not easy questions like score predictions, right? I'm going to ask you a tough question. If you're offered 35 million in January for James Ward-Prowse to rebuild the squad, do you? If the manager needs funds to rebuild his squad in other areas or some areas, what do you do? Oh, okay. I gave you 35 million, but an offer that you guys can't really refuse. What's an offer that you can't refuse for James Ward-Prowse? Or is he that vital right now? You have to rebuff any offer. I don't know,
because the thing is, you say, okay, £100 million or whatever, ridiculous inflated price. But we'd get that even if we finish bottom with TV money. So I personally think it would have to take an insane amount of money. And I personally don't think he'd want to go. I think he'd want... Okay. I think being a Southampton lad and given how long he's been in that football club, I think he would want to see the job through instead of leaving in January and then seeing the club go and get relegated. I think he'd much rather stay, finish the job, and then hope that's... Because, I mean... If Southampton end up getting relegated, there will be clubs going in for him, no doubt. And
how old is he?
28.
28.
I'm just going to let you. I'm just going to let you the thought linger in your head that Liverpool do like him. I'm just going to say that, and then we move it on. And that's what I'm saying for now. Liverpool. We'll see. But I think, I think a substantial amount of money to even consider. Yeah, I understand.
Him leaving,
of course, from your point of view, absolutely, it makes all sense. But Klopp's a huge fan. Once, me and Tom were saying plenty of takeover talk, so much controversy, so much. Just when we think Liverpool are, we got enough troubles, then something comes out of the blue, and then suddenly we're for sale and all that. But everything has to sit down. Everything needs to calm down, and we have to just focus on your old school Saturday 3 p.m. kickoff home to Southampton. And please, Liverpool, do the routine thing that we haven't done all season and just get a routine, normal Saturday 3 p.m. win. That's the way I look at it. How are you looking at it, bro?
I mean, first of all, I'm just checking whether it's at Anfield. Okay, it's at Anfield. Well, I mean, bar Tottenham, we hadn't won an away game in the Premier League all season. That CB away form, that is what was scary.
Killing us.
Honestly killing us. And then it was even the draws at Anfield. To be fair, like even Anfield is not. To be fair, when we lost to Leeds, it could have gone one and two ways. I'm pretty sure when we lost to Burnley, you guys remember the massive record at Anfield, colossal, and then we lost one. Then five came. Then five more came, like the bus stop. You know what I'm saying? You don't see them for ages, and then one comes, and then another five comes. So I was thinking, could it be that? Is that what's going to happen? Leeds get the win, the players crumble, and I think they've kind of. I don't want to say that it's a bounce back, but there's been a response. There's been a response.
Oh, there had to be.
There had
to be. You're spot on. It was huge. Look, you're right. Let's not F about, man. After Leeds, it's probably the lowest we've all felt. I'm trying to remember the lowest we felt.
Fulham
like that. Yeah.
Was it Fulham for you?
Fulham after the not at the start when we lost the 6 games in a row. Fulham at home.
Yeah, that's what
after that game. That was the
I thought you were talking about Fulham this time. Look, Leeds at home was worrying almost, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know how we do it and how we done it. We looked like a revitalized team in that first half against Spurs. I know Spurs fans saw it in a different light way. I was there. I don't know what they saw, but we were a different team. Of course, they're going to have a very good spell. They're Spurs at home under a league coach. So they're going to put a hell of pressure on us.
I don't think it was a good spell, Chris. I'll be honest. I think we took our foot off the pedal. We 2-0 up. The game was done.
Either way, no problem. Either way, you give them credit, no problem. He's a good coach. But we were in that position because we played well. This one is the one I worry about because we've tended to raise it for the big games this season.
And
Man
that's
City, Ajax,
Napoli.
both games against Ajax, Napoli, even against Arsenal. Even against Arsenal, we didn't play badly. It was a good performance. It was a couple of hard decisions, but we've struggled when we think we're comfy and we're rosy. I don't think we're going to think we're comfy tomorrow. I personally think we're going to come really hard at Southampton. What do you think?
So I think, do you know what it is? It's Salah's form. Salah's form is what people aren't talking about. He's slowly creeping up again. Because what hasn't dropped is his Champions League form. That hasn't dropped. But people aren't really talking about that. You know what I mean? But I think when everyone's down and the team, we're not scoring, we're looking to goals, Salah hasn't really been the guy to go and get the goals for us. It's for Bobby's chipped in, Darwin's chipped in. You know, there hasn't really been an out-and-out goal scorer for the team. Now that Salah's kind of got his shooting boots on again, and he's playing obviously more central, I think that is going to be pivotal to Liverpool, because a lot of the time this season, we haven't looked like scoring. We just haven't looked like scoring goals. And then at the same time, we look leaky at the back. So I think with Konate back, I think that is massive. Konate's inclusion is absolutely pivotal. I think Joe Gomez, bless him, few good performances here and there, but just not consistent enough. I'm liking what I'm seeing from Calvin Ramsey. Maybe Trent can get a rest at some point. Still would like him to start. But I'm just looking at the Southampton team. And it's crazy to me because I still think, and this might be a bit selfish or maybe a bit main character syndrome. I don't know however you want to say it. But I feel like these smaller teams are just up for it against Liverpool more than any other top six side. I feel like they're just up for it more against us. And that's the only thing that's been scaring me recently, because the way I see Southampton line up against us, I generally feel like they're going to go out their way to make it so difficult, as opposed to an Arsenal or a City or even a Chelsea, despite their horrible form. This game, Southampton at Anfield should be a guaranteed 3 points, and minimum a draw. That is what it should be. But Liverpool have given me no confidence in the way. I don't know what Liverpool we're going to get. Every weekend, I do not know what Liverpool's going to walk out of those. I don't know.
Basically, what you're saying is true, Dan. You're probably, and we'll get to the kind of the predictions and how you think the game's going to go. But you're probably thinking, are these Liverpool fans right in the head? Are they really like thinking that Southampton are going to turn up and get a win at Anfield under a new manager, etc., etc.? But we've been the highlight of Fulham's season already. We've been the highlight of Leeds season already. We've been the highlight of Nottingham Forest season already. What's to say we're not going to be the highlight of your season already? And to add on to Mon's point, under Hasenhüttl, whatever, I'm calling him Ralph. He's gone anyway. I don't even need to say his name again. So Ralph, under Ralph, he did look forward to this game a lot, didn't he? Because of the reasons that we said, Klopp and Cole. But as a fan base, what is your biggest game of this season in terms of which one do you really look forward to, like sort of testing yourself, or the glamour game? Which club is it? And you don't have to say us if it ain't us.
It's hard to pick out one club. I think whenever the top six come to St. Mary's, I think we always want to see a reaction. I think Liverpool and Man United particularly, we always, I think it's one of those where it's just one of, it's more of a pride thing, especially if you can get, scalp a result or something. There's not one particular fixture I would pinpoint in terms of like what we look for in the calendar. There's not really a derby. I mean, Bournemouth is probably the closest you'd get to a derby, but they, that's a whole nother debate. They see it as a derby, we don't, etc. But no, I think whenever the top six come to St. Mary's, we always want to see the team give a performance. That's when we particularly care. That's the whole point of being in the Premier League, isn't it? To be competitive against the best in the world. But then in terms of Saturday, we're well aware of Liverpool's struggles this season. All the supporters know that. There is that feeling that
there is that feeling, is there?
Look, everyone's been watching Liverpool this season. We all know it's we played Leeds second game of the season. They're nothing special. They went into that game in horrific form and obviously came away with a win. So there is confidence there. There is that kind of no one is expecting to see the team go and get a result. That would be ridiculous. But there are those like little factors that building up that you can kind of see the narrative building a little bit. New manager, is the new manager bounce going to hit straight away? What Liverpool is going to show up. I was on another podcast. We were talking about, Liverpool have got 7 players going to the World Cup. Are their focus going to be, or is their focus, I should say, going to be on that and just not getting injured, and they'll play at 60% as opposed to 100%? There are so many different factors that could come into play tomorrow. So we'll just have to see. But yeah, we're well aware, and I can tell you now, Nathan Jones will be well aware. Those players will be well aware that there's, a team there that, okay, yeah, they've picked up a bit of form, getting good wins against Napoli and Spurs, but there's an opportunity there this season.
Tom, Dan's mentioned the 7 players that are going away. There has been certain sections of the fan base doubting the commitment of 1 or 2 of them. I don't know if it's commitment's the right word, because it's only human nature to have that in the back of your head, especially for someone like, and I'm going to address the elephant in the room, someone like Virgil van Dijk. Virgil van Dijk is the captain of his national team, and he's going to be captaining them. He missed out on the Euros with a cruel injury. He would have been. Now he's got a chance to play in this final tournament, and it's not an ordinary tournament. It's the
first major one. Is this the
first major?
Oh, that's crazy.
So there you go. So this is going to be his last one, and he's going to be captain. Some people, and I sometimes think, yeah, what are you doing, man? Like, what is it? Like, what is it about his performances this season that have led to people thinking he's holding back? Or are we doing 1+1 here and trying to make an equation when it's just his style, when always been his style?
I think if I was to, he hasn't been as good. Whether we will never know if the World Cup is playing on his mind. We can think it is or it isn't. We'll never know.
Yeah.
But it's almost like his performances, he has put his foot, whereas you see sometimes the team starts in first gear, then they'll get up to second and third and fourth. Van Dijk stays in first or second and doesn't really move on from that. And as a result, we've seen some very uncharacteristic performances from that Mitrovic penalty, first game of the season. He's never done that before. The Osimhen one, he's never done that before. But then when chips are down, when you need a performance from him, he turns up like City. He turns up like Napoli. So I think he's just been inconsistent, which is a sign of our team. After the World Cup will be the big one, because then he loses any potential excuse of the World Cup's playing on his mind. Then it's just full focus on the league, full focus on picking up from the mess that you've left beforehand. So hopefully he sorts it out by then.
Can I chime in on that? Let me chime in on that one. With VVD, I think we've blown it out of proportion a little bit as a fan base, and I think with a lot of help from the rival fans, with how they speak on Virgil van Dijk, and I think that's because they hate how good he's been for so long. I think Virgil van Dijk has dropped to a standard of a normal defender. He has not dropped a standard to a bad defender. He has not had a single car crash, I'd say, of a game this season. He's had errors that he's never, again, the Mitrovic moment, the Osimhen moment. I think the moment for the Trossard goal, I think the ball goes just under his leg. For the Trossard equaliser at Anfield, it goes just under his leg. You see, when it comes to these mistakes, I think Virgil will have a sound game where nothing out the ordinary too bad happens. But because that one error happens, it's like a fighter that's never been knocked out when he gets dazed a little bit. And everyone's like, oh my gosh. Like, do you see what I'm saying? People aren't used to seeing Virgil rocked or rattled. So the second he becomes rattled, it's this massive thing and I think we've kind of become accustomed to that, because even though the backline's been so bad, we still look to perfection from him, because Van Dijk has epitomized perfection for 3.5 years, 4 years. That's how long he's done it for. And I still think, were there times where he needs to be more robust and he's had to be more of a, he's had to put in a challenge, or not just, use this aura that everyone talks about? Yes, of course. But I feel like Gomez hasn't helped him. Trent hasn't helped him. And again, when Liverpool are conceding goals, even if it's nothing to do with Van Dijk, Van Dijk's name
Front
being
of
mentioned.
goals.
I think,
Go on,
yeah,
Rob.
because at levels, you're right. I think we've got perfect person to speak on him because Dan, obviously we bought him from you, and you guys bought him from Celtic, and I had a theory about Virgil van Dijk, and I'm still going to say it, and it was controversial at the time, but now some people are seeing it. I think, and it's not a criticism. It's just that's Virgil van Dijk for you. He's one of those players that I think he's so good. Okay, I'm going to try and make sense of it because probably the first time you guys have heard it. I don't think he enjoys defending.
What?
There you go. That's the
He
first reaction.
sees it as a chore. He sees it as a chore. He
See what
never
I'm
looks
saying?
like he wants to
So you
sprint.
think he'd rather play football, champagne football, Mickey
He,
the
no,
ball.
he's so, okay. So let me compare it to someone. Carragher enjoyed defending.
Oh yeah, Skirtle.
Vidic enjoyed defending. Carvalho enjoyed defending. Konate enjoys defending.
The way he loved defending.
Van Dijk doesn't enjoy it. It's his job. He sees it as a job. But he's so good. And he's always been like this, even from his Celtic days. You know, he's got this languid style because he's and once you're right, he perfected centre-back. He perfected the centre-back role for probably about 2 seasons, perfected it. And everyone looks at him as this immovable object, you know, the perfect centre-back in every shape, way, or form. I don't think he is, Dan. Now, this is a Liverpool fan who's a diehard Liverpool fan saying this. Do you get any of what I'm saying, or have I just wasted 2 minutes of your lives?
No, I think it's a fair point. I mean, lots of questions have to be drawn to all of the players this season. I mean, Trent's taken a lot of stick this year as well. So
Trent, again, doesn't enjoy defending, but because of their natural ability, they've been elevated to such a high level, and rightly so, because they're so good. But, you know, like, if there was one thing I could instill in Virgil van Dijk, let's not even go to Trent. If I could, like, inject something into Van Dijk to make him the complete centre-back, would be that enjoyment of getting really, really dirty. And I mean, like, from a football metaphorical point of view.
Yeah, no, I do see the point. I don't know. I mean, we'll see tomorrow, won't we? You know, we'll get a good idea against his old boys. But no, look, the thing about Virgil van Dijk that I think made everyone when he was at Southampton I think what made everyone realise how good he actually is that he's an all-rounder. He's not just an excellent defender. He has an insane passing ability. He can score goals. You know, I mean, if you go back through his Celtic highlights, there's literally videos of him scoring free kicks.
Yeah, and making runs through the ball, playing a 1-2 Franz Beckenbauer style.
So, you know, that's what made everyone realise just how good he is. He's not just a defender. You know, he would do a job in midfield. He could, you know, he's versatile in that sense.
Didn't he start off up front or something?
Maybe as an academy player, you know, but no, he's got so many attributes, and that's what's made him so brilliant. But yeah, well, I'm interested to see. I'm interested to see the whole Liverpool team tomorrow, because the thing is, it could be a complete, you know, cliche routine 2-3-0 win for Liverpool. You know, we don't really show up. You know, we're a little bit scared. We're just looking forward to the break, or we make it difficult for you guys, and Liverpool don't necessarily show up, and then it's a bit more of a competitive game. There's so many unknowns. So yes, I'm really intrigued.
It's Tom, from our point of view, in terms of sort of, we'll get on to you and Mons picking a combined team in terms of Liverpool, what you think the lineup's going to be or should be. But it's a few players will, you know, they're not going to be able to help themselves, but have the World Cup in the back of their minds. With that in mind, does that affect Klopp's selection in any way, shape, or form?
It shouldn't do.
We
never know, but Jurgen Klopp is the Liverpool manager, so he should be putting out the best team that can get Liverpool Football Club wins. If that means Virgil van Dijk's got to play a game a week and a half before he plays his first World Cup game, that means Virgil van Dijk's got to play. He shouldn't be sitting there going, it might make us worse, but at least he'll play in the World Cup. because I don't care about, in the nicest possible way, Virgil. I don't care how well Hull do. I could do with you getting knocked out relatively early so you can come back to the Carabao Cup game.
Yeah, please. That would be amazing. That would be the ultimate. Michael sends in a super chat, but I think he forgot to add the statement, and this is what the message. This is what he meant to say, I think. So he says, best quote I heard about VVD was that he's a Rolls Royce defender, but every now and then you need to be a Datsun. Yeah, Datsun. That's a blast from the past.
I think that's the thing with him, though, isn't it? His style of defending, his almost nonchalance about it, the fact that he doesn't get dirty, I think that is his strength in a way. The fact that you never see him dive in rashly and get completely done. He's always on his feet, waiting, and then makes the tackle. That's why you need someone like a KHANAGE alongside him who, like you said, loves to get the dirt on his shirt, loves to make them tackles, loves to get physical with it, to perfectly sort of counter what Van Dijk gives you. They both project each other's strengths and cover each other's weaknesses.
No, absolutely. Dan, we're going to talk about your business. I looked at your outgoings, and there's nothing that significant that you was probably overly bothered or worried about or sad to see someone go. Am I right in thinking that in terms of your outgoings?
I think the only one was Romeo, to be honest.
Oh, Romeo, of course. Yeah. So what was that? Was that like a...
That was just him. He had a year left on his contract. He'd been here for 6 years, kind of wanted to go back to Spain. It's just standard, really.
So this is your incoming business. Talk us through sort of the ones that have really stood out. So we will be aware of, I've heard of a few of them, but the one that really stands out for us in terms of centre-back Kaleta Carr, because he was on the verge of joining us 2 Januaries ago. Not this January, the January before. Like literally, that's right. Literally, we had all agreed, but we kind of backed off. So talk us through some of the significant players that you have brought in and give us a sort of an overview of who's been impressive and who's still, yet to show his true quality.
Well, I think if you look at the ages there, that kind of gives you the perfect idea of what Southampton are trying to do.
I noticed that straight away. Yeah.
Look how many of those are under 20 or under. So that gives you the perfect idea of what Sport Republic, our ownership, are trying to do. I would say so far the most exciting one is probably Romeo Lavia in midfield, and he will most likely start tomorrow because he's now back from injury and played against Newcastle. So he played the first 5 games, was just ridiculous for an 18-year-old.
18-year-old.
He's
scored against Chelsea.
He's proper techie. That Lavia kid, man.
Didn't Chelsea put in an offer for him straight after your game or something?
Yeah, there were loads of rumours about that. Who knows if that's true? But 18 years old, he can see a pass. He breaks the lines from deep. He's exactly what Ralph Hasenhüttl wanted, and it's a shame really that he got injured so early. With a hamstring injury, because I do think if he'd been fit for longer, we would have also seen the best out of James Ward-Prowse, because I think that is going to be the partnership. Ralph Hasenhüttl admitted that really they've got to build their team around him because he is going to be a superstar. And to be fair, Roberto Martinez admitted that if he hadn't got his injury, he'd probably be going to the World Cup with Belgium, which is just crazy.
Wow.
So you've got him, and then I'd say Bella Kotchap, of course, he is going to the World Cup. That's kind of a big deal already. The sense that he's going for such a big side in Germany as well. He's been brilliant. Had a little bit of an injury and missed a couple games, but he's also back. Colossus at the back reads the game really well. Very mature. These players are all very mature. You forget how young they are. That's kind of what's exciting about them. And we haven't picked them up for crazy fees. They've all kind of been snips. So I'd say those two are the ones that everyone's really excited about. Joe Aribo, I think a lot of people are excited about as well. He's looked really good, but we're just waiting for a system that really fully complements, I should say, his strengths and his attributes. Very good on the ball, very good dribbler, got a good eye for a pass. He's got 2 goals already, which in our squad right now is actually pretty good going. So we'll see how Nathan Jones works with him, because I'm excited to see what he can do. And then
I was going to ask you about the keeper. I really like this keeper. He's actually Ireland's number one now, isn't he? And again at 20 years of age, he's been so impressive, which suggests you've had a lot to do defensively, like in terms of you've been like if he's been busy, it's not a good sign, if you know what I mean. But he's been very good. And the other thing I wanted to ask you, what's this relationship you guys have got with Man City going on here? What do you mean by that? You know that meme? What do you mean by that? Like there's about five, six. Yeah, what do you mean by that? Like, and I want to come close because there's a lot of Man City dealings going on. What's going on there? Any insight?
Yeah, I think partly because it's been a crazy kind of when you actually deep it, it's actually been a really crazy like couple months for the football club. But so we hired Man City's head of youth recruitment, I think was his former title, basically responsible for bringing through Lavia, for example, but I think Phil Foden, just numerous academy players at City came to us to become our head of recruitment, and now has gone to Chelsea after like a couple of months. So that kind of tells you a lot. But yeah, I think a lot of that was kind of down to it because it was Lavia, Larios, Edozie,
Bazunu.
That's what I mean. That's all like this in one window.
Yeah,
that's quite mad.
That's all down to Joe Shields, but obviously he's now gone to Chelsea, which kind of I think further adds to the argument that one day we will see Romeo Lavia as a Chelsea player. But yeah, it's not been the ideal scenario. Don't get me wrong, in the sense that he's left now after kind of starting what was looking like a pretty good job. But yeah, I think Man City in particular, just their under 23 side is very strong, regardless. I think who's the kids that's played Rico Lewis? Is it Rico Lewis?
Yeah,
the young wing back who's just played a couple games and scored against Sevilla. That gives you an idea. He's 17. Man City have got some real good talent in their reserve side, but it's also Man City. How much can they give? Or how many of those players can they give first team opportunities to? You've got to be really special.
No,
so
absolutely.
I think we've kind of benefited. I think it's a good model. I do think there might be other clubs kind of in and around us in the league that might take a note from our book, because it's so far it's worked out quite well. I think Edozie needs a bit more time. He hasn't really started or had the opportunity to start Premier League matches and really get a grip onto these men. Also, we've got a new manager now. But for example, Bazunu, I think he's the youngest ever number one in the Prem to have played the amount of games he has. Yes, it'd be nice to have seen him get more clean sheets. He's only got one, but that's also down to the defence. He's 20 years old and he's starting Premier League matches in goal, right? He's going to be a big deal. And like I say, Lavia is only going to go to the top. I'm so confident that kid is going to go and play ball.
We're so trying to curse it by talking up Bazunu, man. We're so trying to curse it. Ravi's saying, how is YouTube not recommending me your live groups when notifications are on? I haven't got a clue, mate. I haven't got a clue. I don't know what's happened there. A few people have said about that. But if you could all like the stream right now, that would be amazing. I'd be so chuffed. A lot of comments about Mons and how he's, I don't know, man. Mons, like, you went to see the bank manager to extend his overdraft facility. And then there's a few others as well. Mons look like he's coming from a juvenile detention hearing. You know what I mean? There's other ones that maybe I can't put up, but these are the ones that I can put up. You know what I mean? So it is what it is, man. Like, every man, like, it's Friday, he's coming straight from work. Like, we should be happy that he's joining us. Like, but can you let people know, like, why you dress like the way you are, just to clear things? Like, I don't want to know, like, you know what I mean? You don't have to, but just to clear it out.
Well, I just come from work. I work in a secondary school, so as like a teacher kind of thing. So I had to rush home. I just about got off the jacket, threw the blazers off, and just ran in here. So, and I also come from the meeting of FSG. They was in contact with me and stuff, and we had a few talks about what we're gonna do with the club going forward. So, it's looking really good. So,
absolutely. More will be revealed later, but for now, you just know he came from a secondary school. But I want to get into our lineup once Tom's put up this. Hold on, how do I do this? All right. So we're gonna start picking our Liverpool team once, and Tom, we're gonna pick a formation, and I think it's fair to say even that is a bit confusing for us these days. So between you guys, what do you think the lineup's going to be tomorrow? So I don't think Alisson, he's already put Alisson there. I don't think there's any issues there. Take it away, Mons and Ben, because we need to, Tom, I should say, we need to pick a team for tomorrow.
Well, the defense is quite easy. Robbo, Trent, and that. That's
I don't see any reason why you would change it. To be fair,
no Simicast, nothing like that. No,
good performance in the week and that, but
But let's keep right. Okay, cool. This way, possibly. Well, I don't know. What have you decided in terms of formation?
I think he does the 4-4-2, doesn't he? That's what with the two up top. Or does he go?
I think he might stick with what we done against Spurs. Diamond with Bobby potentially pushing on. Because I don't think he wants to play Darwin Núñez left mid.
The Diamond.
I don't think he wants Darwin Núñez.
I think from Monts's reaction, he doesn't believe diamonds are forever.
They aren't, because listen, we don't have Brendan Rodgers is not our manager anymore. Like he's just not our manager anymore. He's just like Rodgers was the one who really put that diamond. You know what I'm saying? The Gerrard.
We don't have Joe Allen doing the graveyard shift at left centre mid.
Yeah. But what? So we're gonna go 4-3-3 then with like kind of Núñez off the left. Is that what we're looking at?
I don't think he plays 4-4-2 and has Darwin Núñez off the left. I just don't think he wants to have him that deep.
I think Darwin Núñez has looked all right off the left though.
Far up off the left, Jeff. But when he's left wing, but in a 4-4-2, he's got to do a lot more defensive
Here's
work.
the question though.
Calvin Ramsey is a baller and he was magnificent. But come on.
Yeah.
Trent has to be. I agree with you. Ramsey was brilliant. Sorry, lads.
Hendo or Flacco?
Hendo hasn't played. Check this out, lads. Hendo hasn't started the last two. Was it last three?
Well, he came off with that. He came off with that knock against Dijk, didn't he?
With the knock, yeah.
Yeah, but he's been on the bench. He's been on the bench.
He came back quite quickly though. That was a bit weird. I don't know. I thought he came back very quickly. But in my opinion, he's been better than Fabinho. Fabinho's form has been worrying me this season, and I think Henderson has actually been better than him. And for me to say that is crazy because Fabinho is like my uncle. He's actually like Fabinho is my uncle. I promise he's my uncle. He's not actually my uncle, but you know what I mean. So,
he's playing like your granddad right now, bro.
Right.
I mean,
he's not crazy at the minute, is he?
But saying that he was a little bit better. So I don't know. You guys are.
It's not hard to be a little bit better than the
not very good
standard.
Liverpool managers. You can't even decide between yourselves. You're supposed to be my Pep and Klopp here, and you lot going on like.
No, we're gonna say
you're getting like Julian Evans.
We're gonna go for. I think it's Fabinho, Elliott, Thiago. And I think
that's what I was gonna say as well. I think he's
gonna again.
I mean, I would like Henderson to start. I know I would like him to start, but like Fab's actually been okay in these last two games, but every other game it's been very questionable. So, I mean, Tom, do you want to advocate for Henderson, or are you just trying to go straight? No, impossible. Fabinho.
Hendo just screams 60th minute sub. Come on for the last 30, especially if we're winning. See out the game. That's his job.
So 4-3-3 then.
No, it's technically a diamond.
Tom doesn't think it's going to be a 4-3-3.
It's whatever. I could not tell you what formation we play this season. We play in. Darwin Núñez does what he does off the left. Salah does what he does off the right. Firmino is just somewhere in the middle. He's wherever he wants to be in the middle. Our right centre mid is right mid, right back, right DM. He's everywhere. We're just there. We start off on paper in a 4-3-3, and then you just go from there.
It's vibes ball. It's literally we are vibes ball. We're vibes.
Go for it then. Pick your.
We're vibes ball, but without the results. We don't even enjoy it all the time.
Right centre mid definitely Harvey.
I can't see us playing Núñez off the left at home. I don't know, but you're right. What options is there?
I don't see him doing Carvalho.
We don't really have a choice.
We don't have a choice. That's the problem. We don't have a choice. That's the problem right now.
Endo.
And-
He had a good 16 minutes.
No, it's going to be Fabinho, but well, no,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah,
Why am I
yeah,
talking? Is
yeah.
you lot? Yeah. If you think this is going to be it, you know what I mean. Then obviously the front three pick themselves, right?
Mm-hmm. Salah, Bobby, Nunes.
Go for it then. That's our team.
I don't think he's going to go
4-3-3.
Carvalho. I can't see him going Carvalho, especially after starting him. The only one that I'm sitting there going, why can I imagine Curtis Jones getting starting minutes somewhere?
But instead of who though? No chance out of those lot.
I don't know why I could see it. I could see it for like Firmino, maybe Nunes up front, Salah off the right, Jones off the left again, like he done against Napoli. Because the thing that's making me think that is he didn't touch the pitch versus Derby. I would have thought he'd be dead set to get at least minutes off the bench against Derby, but he wasn't even part of the squad, which is the confusing part.
Yeah. Well, I think we're gonna go with the personnel that you guys have said, which is Nunes. Is Oxlade a wild shout?
I didn't want to be the guy. I didn't want to be that guy. Yeah, because see, when I mentioned Ox, I see snipers like people. I feel like they're aiming at me. I feel like they're aiming at me, ready to fire. Personally, get him in the midfield as soon as possible. In my humble opinion, not because he's still good, not because he's this guy anymore, because we need legs. And we don't have much legs. Just hear me out until January. In fact, it's one game. And maybe the Boxing Day fixtures and the Man City game in the Carabao Cup.
Mm-hmm.
Hear me out with Oxtel. Just hear me out with Oxtel, innit? Oxtel has a part to play before the rest of this year.
I agree with you. I think he has got a part to play. I'm just not sure if we can risk. It's not even a risk, is it? Really, I don't know. I think we got to go. I think we got to go. We tried and tested, even though they're not tried this season. Like in terms of they haven't shown us something. But I think we got to put out the best available 11.
Yeah.
And then just say do one more job for us, and then we come back and we'll assess where we are, what we're doing. Very quickly, we're gonna go. Mons, thank you very much for coming in last minute and showing us something and letting us know about the meeting, how they went in. You go and do your stream. People go and check out Big Six Bands as well. And we hope to catch you real soon, bro.
Score prediction before we
go for it. Go for it. Yeah. Interested.
3-1 Liverpool.
3-1 Liverpool, yeah.
3-1. I'm going safe.
Ox to get off the bench with a couple at the end. 1-1. Ox to come off the bench and just smashing a couple.
Ox is scoring from outside the box. Clip it.
Interested. All right, nice one. Chat soon. Take care. Nice one. Dan, we want a kind of an idea of how you think you guys are going to do things. Where are we here? Your last game. Obviously, he wasn't in charge, but this is how you guys got a sort of set up, didn't you? What do you think?
I mean, it was a relatively strong side for a Carabao Cup game against League One opposition, but I don't think we'll go for that formation. I'm kind of doing my own research. So he started. Luton played on Tuesday night with a back three. They played a 3-4-1-2, and I could see something similar. I think he will go relatively defensive. I think he's going to keep it safe. He's not had the time to instill his real philosophy and ideas, and I think the best way, to be honest with you, I can see us sitting back. I can see us being a little bit gritty and a little bit uneasy on the eye. I feel like if we go all guns blazing to start, really keen to try and make get a stamp on the game, it could backfire massively. The last thing we want is to kind of be 2-0 down after 20 minutes or so. We need to be in the game. We need to kind of weather the storm a little bit. So I think we'll go for a back five. We've played it a bit with Ralph as well.
Tell us what you think the lineup will be in terms of personnel then, because I see Maitland-Niles there. That's a bit of a name that we know from Arsenal and Premier League. Because I'm gutted for your two fullbacks that are absent. Carl Walker-Peters, who I rate very highly, and Livramento, who was the talk of the town as well. Two huge blows, right?
Yeah, so they're both out. So Maitland-Niles at right back is definitely a possibility. Personally, it's what I'd go for. I think it's it's reliable, it's tried and tested. He's played there before, not really with us as much, but he can play there. Obviously, we've been playing centre backs at right back as well. I don't really like that, especially if we're going for a back five and it's kind of wing backs. So I would go. Definitely, it's going to be Bazunu in goal. I'd be very surprised if Nathan Jones wants to change his number one that quickly.
Yeah,
there's no reason to at all, really. Perot definitely on the left wing.
Right.
I think we'll see Salisu and Bella Kotchap come in with. I think it'll be Coletta Carr. I think he's proven to be relatively decent in a back three.
So Bella Kotchap was not injured. He was just not involved in the.
He wasn't
cup
involved
game.
because it was a cup game.
Right. So you think you'll go three centre backs with Bella Kotchap, Salisu,
and Coletta Carr.
Oh,
so Lyanco out. He could well go Lyanco right wing back, but I would not like to see that. So I think Coletta Carr, Bella Kotchap, Salisu as the three centre backs with Perot and Maitland-Niles as wing backs.
Interesting.
And then I
probably the same two.
It would definitely be Ward-Prowse. Yeah, I could see Diallo going in there, or I could see Stuart Armstrong dropping in there and being a little bit more deep. It completely depends on kind of how Nathan Jones wants to assess it. I think he's definitely going to need two strikers up front. I think he's going to want Shea Adams and probably Adam Armstrong up front. So potentially even have Joe Aribo drop in there. But I think it's going to be Ward-Prowse and Diallo. And then I think he is going to go for... I think Ward-Prowse, Diallo, and then Joe Aribo central. And then have Adam Armstrong and Shea Adams up front.
Yeah, you see, this is where I'm thinking you could potentially, Tom, they could potentially be playing into our hands in terms of not having much pace through that middle of the team. We struggle against pace and runners from deep. Now, the fact that you haven't mentioned Genepo, who's out of favour probably. Elionisi, is that how you say names? Elionisi?
Yeah, he could well play anywhere, but he's not got pace. Pace isn't his strength.
Aribo. I mean, Che Adams is big. He's physical. He's strong.
Yeah. Adam Armstrong's quick.
Adam Armstrong's quick. He's a busy bee. He's the type of player that I could see causing us issues. But I've got a feeling the way Dan said that they're going to set up, I think they're going to sit back, Tom. I think they're going to pretty much play like Spurs.
Yeah, I don't think, because he's not going to have had much time to work with this team.
Yeah.
And obviously the news has just come out that Klopp's now banned for this game.
Yeah, I just wanted to address that actually. Yeah, go for it. Yeah, so Klopp's been banned for this game. The bastards have appealed and sort of managed to get him banned. I don't know if that changes anything in you guys'
He's been banned for his player getting suplex on the football pitch and not being punished for it. Lord,
amazing
strength.
Amazing. Do you know what he's banned for, Dan? Like what the incident was?
No,
did you get a chance to see it? No. So go on, Tom. You describe it.
It was when Salah was running down the line and he's tough on with Bernardo Silva. He does Bernardo Silva, so Bernardo Silva proceeds to fall over, throw him over his shoulder while dragging his shirt, and the referee tells him to play on. So Klopp gets angry.
Obviously, got heated and angry.
Shouts in the assistant referee's ear and gets sent off.
It's unbelievable. But listen, it is what it is. He's banned from tomorrow. Does that change any of your predictions, I guess? We'll go with Tom first. Tom, hit me with a prediction for tomorrow. So we wrap this up now.
2-0. I'm hoping for a clean sheet. I need a clean sheet. That's all I need out of it.
Dan, is there two predictions in your head? Is there a heart and a head here, or are you pretty confident?
Potentially. No, I think we'll do very well to come away with a result that isn't an embarrassment. I think that's kind of what Nathan Jones needs. I think no one will criticise him if we go there, play relatively well, try and get a result, and come away with a defeat by 1 or 2 goals.
But if that's the case, if he shows that attitude, would you be more warm to that attitude? Like, he's not expected to win. Let's go out there. It doesn't mean anything else. Let's go and see the attacking style, because I don't know. Does this Luton team have a reputation? Did this Luton team have a reputation of playing sort of fast flowing football, or what kind of style?
They do, but he's he's going to have to adapt to the Premier League. His Luton teams outpass their opponent, but they don't keep as much of the ball. So, he's going to have to adjust that for a high intensity standard. But yeah, I think tomorrow is about the performance. Tomorrow is just about winning the fans back over. It's his first game. The thing is, if he goes all kind of happy clapper and gets really excited and tries to get them to play his style of football against Liverpool away, straight away, it's going to backfire. The team's going to capitulate, self-destruct, and then they're going to come away with a heavy defeat, and it's the worst possible start. Mm-hmm. So I feel a little bit of conservativeness, if that's even a word, just kind of calming it down, doing the basics right. Fundamentally, that's all he can get the players to do right now, get the basics right. So I would say they come away with a goal and a narrow defeat. I think satisfactory. No one's really expecting a result. I'm going to say, with a little bit of confidence, I'm going to say 2-1 defeat. We don't score at Anfield. I think we've lost at Anfield a lot. God knows how many of the last games at Anfield we've lost. But yeah, I can see us going there and causing a few issues, definitely. But I don't see us getting a result tomorrow. There's no way we can really expect that.
Well, let's see how it goes, man. As I said, in a normal Liverpool Southampton preview, there will be like sort of what's the margin going to be? But it's not a normal Liverpool. It's not a normal season. It's really wild. I've been saying wild season. I think after January, I'm going to stop calling it a wild season. But up until then, it's a wild season. It's a season of uncertainty, and we've seen so many teams perform or outperform us, I should say, because we've been so shy. But I'm expecting us to turn up tomorrow. I'm expecting a routine win, hopefully a boring, and I can't give a shit. Excitement, goals, none of that. I just want one of those, old school teletext wins where you check teletext and it just says 2-0 Liverpool, 37th minute Salah and 59th minute whoever. Just one of those ones. No incident, no yellow cards. There was no substitutions, nothing. Just 2-0. That's what I want. And get to the World Cup and then we talk again. But people, Tom, thank you very much for helping me out today, my friend. And Dan, good. And Dan, of course, thank you very much as well, man. I know it's a bit of a last minute one, but thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
Excellent. People, this has been Pre-Match Carnage, Liverpool, Southampton. Don't forget to like if you haven't. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't. We will hopefully see you tomorrow for loads of post-match reaction stuff. And then Red Fellas on the Sunday. Over and out. Take care.